Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Joana. I'm from Porto, in Portugal, in the north of the country. And we have been working with a cooperative that we created as a collective of creatives since 2018. Okay. This morning, well, I am from history of art. Okay, it's my field. I also teach in this area, and so for the morning, we decided to divide what we were talking about, and I wanted to present a more theoretical framework, okay, for what we are doing, crossing a perspective on cooperativism from the perspective of Portuguese activist for cooperativism is called Rui Namorado. Okay. And he developed a specific framework for Portugal. And you will see, because we have a very specific historical context, okay, for this, which is the end of the fascist dictatorship, which lasted way beyond the Second World War in Portugal up until 1974. Okay, and so this is the context where Rui Namorado enters into action. Of course, he was already an activist against fascism. Okay, he was not in the coup of the militaries who brought the regime down, but he was part of the social movement that impressed for a new reality to overcome, of course, hardship from 50 years of backlash from this fascist reality in Portugal. So from his perspective, I will try to understand cooperativism, but also under crossing it with other perspectives from the 70s, namely feminist criticism of art making, that envisages a new perspective of art as a social foreground to act in society, that comes, for instance, with Lucy Lifford, who was a criticist, an art criticist in North America, but she had a feminist perspective, and she supported both conceptual, feminist performance art, land art, and other forms of art that were contest to the, to the more to the more established forms of art in that period. So we had abstractionism, male abstractionism prevailing in arts all over America and Europe, and these women and many artists were contradicting these perspectives, okay, with forms of art that went beyond and enlarged the fields of action for art, okay? And I will try to also get into a more queer perspective from Paul or Beatriz Preciado's view, who has brought feminist criticism to the queer field. And you will see that for me, the issue is that cooperatives are actually transgressing the dichotomist perspective that capitalist organization puts in our view of things, that you have to be good or evil, man or female, you have to be profitable or with varying intensities, depending on the context, economic roles or social identity of their members. Their paradigmatic potential lies in how their practices anticipate alternative functioning models to dominant economic organizations. So it's like, we were talking yesterday, like a fungus, right? Growing subterraneously and maybe sometime dominating the future, okay, as a way of procedure that's more just. In cooperatives, capital serves the members as an instrument for their objectives, rather than members serving capital as instruments for its reproduction. Their goal of building alternatives does not compromise their role in providing immediate, pragmatic responses to the concrete needs that led to their formation. So this must always be the priority in cooperatives, to respond to their members' needs. At their synthesis in their daily operations between historical consistency and future horizons, structuring responses to their members' aspirations for future well-being as well, not just present, but future. Occupy varied positions within the dominant economy, either as an alternative or compatible with it, serving to mitigate its predatory impacts on society and the environment. So many cooperatives are here to mitigate capitalist impact in the world, right? That's why also they are imbued in the social economy field. Namorado concludes that cooperatives, being associative bodies that respond to specific needs while transgressing dichotomies such as business, association, economy, society, alternative normativity, ideology versus practice. So I'm saying that dichotomies that are presented to us as excluding each other, right? Cooperatives offer an alternative logic to capitalist normativity, I would say patriarchal capitalist normativity. They are built on the cooperation that has been foundational to human survival and our modern expression of this age-old practice. In this way, cooperatives, as Rui Namorado sees them, offer unique potential for social transformation. Okay, so as I was telling you, for me, this has big resonance with criticism, 70s criticism to art world hegemonic practices, okay? Of course, we could address Gramsci's perspective of an hegemonic of capitalism over through to the models of people's behavior, right? In fact, modern, more contemporary criticists, you know, like, I have to see his name, like Franco Berardi, talk about how still today capitalism organizes in an hegemonic way that needs crisis to overthrow other perspectives. They have foretold the end of history, as if people had no other chances but to obey liberal societies. And Berardi talks about this idea of a perma-crisis, or the never-ending war, right? And of course, it is a part of art's duty as social actors to be able to construct alternative visions for the future, right? To construct hope, a hope for another way of looking and perceiving the world, right? And so, of course, this has happened with the avant-garde of the early 20th century that were upholding against the normative bourgeois societies that organized the world wars, right? And it makes sense for us to talk about the 70s feminist critics who were also talking about this idea of the importance of fluidity of identities, breaking normative structures, okay, and how this is important as a concept for art as a political intervention, particularly through the lens of Lucy Lippard's perspectives on art and activism. She has told us of the idea that art must operate outside traditional institutions. Okay? She advocated for art that resists commodifications and is created in alternative spaces to commercial. Of course, this, and we were talking to Noah of how the reality maybe for Eastern Europe is different, and that the art market is not maybe imposing on you, right? That is not so organized here, maybe. But nonetheless, we talk about the importance of art being outside of the commercial gallery system, okay? Which parallels the cooperative model, where power is decentralized and resources are collectively managed. Cooperatives by their nature resist the logic of individual profit maximization, focusing instead on collective well-being, much like art practices that Lucy Lippard proposes as an alternative for está-me a faltar a palavra. Como é que se fala de um sistema que está estabelecido e que não podes questionar? The established system of art. Okay. So there's a need for breaking binary structures, similar to our reference to the queer theories of Beatriz Preciado. I don't know if you know this Spanish curator. He was responsible. He's a transsexual curator of art. He's been head of MACBA in Barcelona for many years now. He was the responsible for Documenta in 2014. Okay? And he has talked very much about how the great objective of capitalism in today's days is to product even our subjectivity, right? Through the modulation of pleasure, namely through media and media exposure, right? That they want to, that we, not they, but that there is a market even for our subjectivity, right? And that the idea that we embrace a queer perspective of this breaking of dichotomies means that we should each be responsible for constructing our subjectivity, okay, as an alternative and as uma alternativa independente. Okay. As an independent way of constructing our subjectivity and our identity. Okay, so it's an interesting idea, I think, that fosters from both feminism in the 70s and trans and queer ideology, political ideology for the present. Okay? So this is mainly what I wanted to tell you. I have one more page here. I wanted to know if you have any questions, and I think we could maybe discuss on this, just to read my conclusion. Lippard's view of art, Lippard's and Preciado's view of art aligns with the kind of hybrid model where economic and social structures are rethought as spaces of freedom and resistance, both economic entrepreneurship as artist practice, right? In this way, art becomes more than an aesthetic. It is political and social intervention. Of course, cooperatives offer a critique of capitalism by providing alternative models of organization, which comes in full encounter with Lidbert's idea of politically engaged art, as it offers a critique of institutionalized art systems, embracing community, participation, and activism as intrinsic to artistic practice. This interplay between art, politics, and alternative economic models opens spaces where new ways of living, working, and creating can be both imagined and enacted. So thank you very much. And I would like to have some questions if you want to participate as well. I don't know if you want to say something.
No, the idea here is for us to discuss and talk about this. Later on I will talk about how we do it in KICKVOIDLÖOP, not line by line, but the way we organize in this, let's say, theoretical framework, and to actually work as a working structure, this after lunch. But right now I think we have lots of subjects that we can discuss and share ideas about, and also questions if you have. So we are open to. Don't worry,
Don't worry, we have.
I could give you another, also another interesting framework that comes from a Portuguese performer, contemporary performer. He's called João Fiadeiro, okay? And he works, he's a Portuguese choreographer and artist who has contributed significantly to dance and performance through his exploration of decision making, okay? Through improvisation and collaboration. So his ideas resonate with notions of art as political intervention, particularly when viewed through the lens of collectivity, process, and resistance to fixed systems. So what I wanted is to bring another idea that João has, that is that the process is more important than the product, the final product. Okay, this is another important idea that we also embrace. That maybe sometimes we don't know what the product will be, and this opens the space for something truly collaborative and emergent to happen. So this is another idea that also in action, both economic or artists, that the expression of collectivity is an expression also of spontaneity, right, between people, and trust, of course. Okay. So this is the ideas that I wanted to put out there. I would like to know what you think about them. If you have experiences in cooperating, okay, or in collaborative working. And I would like today to have a more theoretical discussion. And so, because with Martinho we will be discussing more practical, regulatory, normative, cooperative normative response to organization, okay? But, later on Mario will talk about our experience constituting KICKVOIDLÖOP until today, okay? But now I would like to hear from you.
Yes, we have like 30 minutes until the coffee break, so the idea here is to discuss a bit. Regarding what Joanna just said about the process, this is one thing that resembles very closely with the way we work. And sometimes it's not easy to do it because we are in a framework where marketing and data analysis is very oriented to results, and so we try to do things not that way. We focus on the process because we are a collective of creatives and we have pleasure doing it. So we try to keep in mind that that's what's important for us, and then comes the rest. You know, so well, I think we have lots of questions or lots of ideas that we can, you know, share.
Deixa agora eles.
É isso. Somebody wants to.
Amanda.
Thank you for the presentation and for bringing this topic. So my question is maybe between theoretical and maybe also a bit of ideological, maybe a bit of practical, but I can keep the practical dimension for later. But I'm really wondering, as we are speaking particularly about the arts tends to be free, and while as the market is demanding and making requests, so there is this tension between objects that are not maybe intentionally made for the market. So I'm really wondering, maybe is there a need like to have a model between an individual and a cooperative? Like, for example, in my country, it would maybe be a non-profit organization who can serve as a mediator between these two identities and different expectations, to translate some stuff, to be a converter between these two situations. So, yeah, it's not very theoretical question, but maybe it can help us to understand like how to build a cooperative better in a better way, because it's not so frequent. It's not a frequent model in the arts. I think in Croatia, for example, it's for a reason that it's fiscally, it's not the best model. Like it's taxed like a business, and it doesn't have the options of a non-profit. So I think having more models, more organizations, and also can non-profits be members of a cooperative the same as individuals. Yeah, I'm wondering in this, like, is there like a mixed hue gradient area of options between a cooperative and an individual? Thank you.
That's a great question.
Well, I don't know.
Deixa eu ver.
We can.
Let's talk about
this. I think. Well, first, it is even more difficult to be into to deal or to relate with the normal businesses, which are very result-oriented. So our perspective is not that, but that's the demands that the market has in some way. So, but our focus is on people and on the work for itself. So it is possible to work and to go. Sorry about my English, but it's to go. It's possible to focus on people and on their work, and also to respond to some demands of the market and from the project itself. Like in our case, I can talk a bit about it. We have like a cultural perspective and also a commercial perspective, and it's the balance between the two that gives us the.
And then the educational one.
And an educational one, yes, but I will keep that maybe for later, because we started with this perspective, but also with having in mind that we have to have a good result, even though we have a different approach to the process of working. You know, so we had to manage to understand, to organize in a way that both are possible. In some ways, we we are right now, we are more into the cultural part because we have some, you know, some background, some structure to do it. So because it's a way of work, but about individuals, I don't know if about that. Yes. No, I don't know if you about individuals. Your question was how individuals work in are in the structure, right? Did I understand?
How do they start working?
Start working. Okay. Well, first, there's a thing that's important to keep in mind, which is not every person is at the beginning with the right mindset to work in a cooperative. So we need some cooperative educational process, let's say. So usually members of KICKVOIDLÖOP first start with a project. And that project is the approach between what they are as individuals, as creatives, and the way they relate with a working structure like KICKVOIDLÖOP. Because the fact that it's not such a known or used model is important for people to get into and understand how it works. Even to understand why, because we work with KICKVOIDLÖOP started as a response to the problem of freelancers. You know, like freelancers, in Portugal and I believe in the world in general, it's a type of, and artists, individuals that work alone, are seen as first that they are unprotected in some way, you know. So imagine what's the reason for me to work in a structure like KICKVOIDLÖOP instead of working for myself? And one of the reasons is precisely the structure. You're not alone. You can work with others. You need to understand that 1 + 1, it's not 2, but 3 or more. So this mindset sometimes needs some time to be built, and sometimes people simply don't fit. We have several examples.
And I think an important idea is that collectively working does not mean that your personal work is not being made. You understand what I'm saying? It means that you are working individually, but the structure, the economic structure in which you work, has other people you can rely on. There are many models that now try to do this, right? In Portugal, for instance, many people are organizing to have like spaces rented in collectives, so that it's cheaper for each person to have a place to work, for instance. So all of these responses are possible responses inside cooperatives. For instance, you only need three people to do a cooperative. You understand what I'm saying? It's and inside a cooperative, you don't have to have this pressure of because sometimes one person will bring a project who they will develop, and I can help him, and then I can bring another project and I will develop it, and I ask Mario for help. But of course that when it comes to dividing the money or the profits or the, you have to do it democratically as well. So you are not alone. The difference is this. And of course it's always better, for me, it's always better not to decide or not to act out alone. Not as a creator, but as economic, structure. I just wanted to say one other thing. That when we started organizing, one of the things that we discovered was possible and interesting, since we had the economical structure, which is a non-profit economical structure, okay? It was possible for us to do things like, imagine, exchange work for services. We have a lawyer that works with us whenever we need, and we did his identity and website, and you know, so we exchange services, and this is interesting because it takes you back to a more simple process of organizing economically. For us, it works in terms of, but of course, cooperatives have this, that they can be very hybrid, okay? They can be 3 people's members, or they can be 1,000 people's members, okay? And also, a member of a cooperative can be an individual or an association.
You know.
No, here no? In Portugal, yes.
I wanted to say just one comment, a short one, is that there are very big differences between the legal frameworks in different countries. I think that in Portugal is one of the more progressive, very comfortable legal framework for cooperative.
Because it's in the constitution.
Yeah, exactly.
But
in other countries, it's all depends where, you know, like one of the worst legal framework is, for instance, in Austria. And in the region here, it's a mixed game. But in here, in Serbia at least, the cooperative can only be formed from physical bodies, not legal bodies. So associations or companies cannot participate in.
But it depends on the form of the cooperative, maybe. No?
then
Martino just wanted to add.
I was only to join that in some cases when we have problems in hard areas to deal with the established organization, some people discussing about the problems decides to organize them in cooperatives. For instance, in Portugal, all the people that are creators, you create a art, a book, anything of arts that after is used by others. So you are not paid by that. But so we had to create in Portugal, a long time ago, more than 50 years ago, a cooperative based in Lisbon, named SPA, is Society of the Writers, and that is legal representative of all the members and collect money by the people that use their products. So this is a very strong structure, and now is an important part to promote culture in the country, is CPA cooperative. And this is so important that after some other artists with a different political approach decides, oh, this is no good, so old cooperative. So we create a new one, cooperative. GTA is another cooperative. And that also shows that in arts, even, sometimes we make a group to start a project, and after we discover we have different ideas. So in many cases in our network to create cooperatives, I had assist that from the group that decide to start a arts cooperative, we create 2 for different approach on arts. And for instance, in plastic arts, visual arts, we had start a long time ago a cooperative that we named Arbor, tree, and where all arts can be member, and we have a workspace that the members can use to produce their own products, or we produce some collections by the cooperative initiative. And this is a very strong entity in cultural approach, and that after, when we move in cooperatives, using the cooperative structure to go in cooperative activity, we find perhaps that after we have a new problem, that we cannot use this cooperative. For instance, when we are saying that we need to have a different approach for young people learn arts, and that the official way is not the good one. So what we have decided is to create a cooperative for education. But we have created a cooperative for education in the secondary area. So we discuss about how to create a fine arts high school. And we had set up a new cooperative to do that. Some people from circus arts, they discuss there is no way where we can learn the arts, circus arts. And they decide to create a cooperative in Lisbon, that is Chapiteau, that is a cooperative that had start a professional art in circus activities. So I think what is important is that from the problem that a part or a group of people that wants to go to develop a project of an idea, they can organize themselves in a cooperative. The cooperative is an association. It's like the other associations. Right. The only question is, it is able to go in business if we want to do. But we can go in business just in the way of we can do it, namely we can do it as a no-profit organization. Usually when we speak about no-profit organization, it seems you are not able to grow. We have no profit because we have no money to divide by the capitalist member. But we need to have positive results to share between the members. And in cooperative, we pay to the members the results of our work and our product through the cooperative. Or we decide not to share between members because we decide to collective make applications to grow and develop. When we are speaking cooperatives, then we are speaking with even older, more than 100 years cooperatives that stay working on this way. And the question is to pass by the individual initiative to have a structural action and to be able to live with the different ways to negotiate with the government, to local authorities, to apply for international applications for the international funding. So we can organize, if you want, in a cooperative way, and there is for all the diversity of possibilities. Here, as we say, the law, Serbian law, refer only farming, industrial cooperatives, consuming.
No, this is not a point. You can make any kind of cooperative, but the point was...
They don't speak about cultural cooperatives.
Not particularly, but...
Nas cooperativas de cá não pode haver membros coletivos.
Yeah, but this is a question of the evolution of the law, because the international law for international regulations for cooperatives is not blocked. It's a very open way, and we are going to share with you this information. Yet in our cultural cooperatives can be individual members, associations can be member, other cooperative can be member of another cooperative. And so there is a very diversified ways to organize ourselves.
Do you have a question?
I want to, but it's also a bit related with what you are doing. And what was said before, that in Serbia there is no favorable law on cooperatives. But of course there is lots of experience in cooperative way of developing a corporate, like many associations developing and working on cooperative principles. Of course, because also as association, it's possible to have economical, to be not only work with projects, but also in different, to have economic activity and also to, develop these principles of shared responsibility, decision making, fair distribution, and so on. So, but in Serbia, it seems to me, at the moment, it would be more as making a cooperative. It would be more challenging, like a real cooperative, in the way that it would be as a real enterprise with lots of obligations, I don't know if that are set by the law, which would work in according to cooperative principles, like just a regular enterprise. So it's very challenging because you have to, an employee, on a steady, fixed salary, and lots of costs and that are attributed to any enterprise.
There are no costs.
What?
There are no costs. The only thing that is different between an association and a cooperative is that the cooperatives have to employ one employee. One employee. That's the only difference.
Yes, one employee.
But this remains to a new discussion. What is an employee? If this is a worker, it can be a voluntary worker. The question is, we need to be able to make the accountability of the voluntary work as the general work. And this is a fight against the formal, the traditional state dictator. Because if we organize ourselves as voluntary work, we don't need employees to do our work to be developed. The question is the recognition of the voluntary work. Now, in Europe regulation, voluntary work is recognized as a way to develop and to create, but we need to be aware to do the voluntary work and register the voluntary work value in the accountability of the organization. That we can speak on that. I'm accountable also, and we are just dealing with these questions in national. In Portugal, when we start a cooperative, we need to have at least 3 members, but we don't need to have any work employee. We are the members, and when we want to have work being paid to be on this, okay, we can resist. But in Portugal, we can organize and work as a cooperative and make trade organized to develop with no employee. We have a lot of cooperatives with no employees. And even the private sector use this. There is a lot of companies that works, that come here and sell their service, and if you go and see, it's no employees on this enterprise. It's an enterprise to make business. We, in cooperative, we can do it and organize it and register as with voluntary work. This is a big space. This worldwide now recognized. I am also connected with a big organization that runs a lot of voluntary work. You will understand. I'm a lifesaver. We have a World Lifesaver organization that is run by the leader by the Australian people, Australian, and we have even in Serbia. They are member of our European network. A big part of the life saving is organized using voluntary work. The question is that we need to be accountable on the organization. So when we start with a group of people, arts that wants to start to be together, to organize a project together, we need to ourselves consider that we are working to the project. We are not doing nothing without value. When we create an idea and a project, this is as a value, and we can be able to consider this in the capital of the entity that we are starting. This is a change point of the idea of the kind of the organization. The first cooperatives that exist, and we will speak along tomorrow, was most considered to have people engaged to make work. But after we develop no profit organization, and with consider the voluntary work as a normal part of the work. And in our cooperatives, most worker cooperatives, what we are paid in the end of months is a value for consider to the final accountability in the year. So it's not a salary, but it's a money that we take from the cooperatives, in supposing that the final result will be positive. So we can, after in the end of the year, make an arrangement in the payment from the cooperative to the members. Is that we make in the farming cooperatives. In farming cooperatives, they collect the products from the members, they sell in the market, and after they pay money to estimated money, and after when they make the final account of each campaign each year, they come and they make the right payments. And what we do in the farming cooperatives, we can do in all cooperatives in Portugal.
I think, just to add, I think that, of course, associations can do lots of things, but they still have limits to their growth in terms of services, or the and cooperatives have more instruments, understand?
Yeah.
They have more tools, and it's a more hybrid figure that allows you to construct a reality for the needs that you have. For me, for us, it has been.
I was just saying that there is experience in like applying and developing and applying cooperative principles. But of course, it's lacking
association.
Lots of other.
Actually, cooperatives are in between associations and the regular enterprise, because we work for the members and also for the community, also for the exterior, so we can relate economically with the exterior, not just its members. Relating to one question was about the members and how they enter the cooperative. First project in our case is normally voluntary, because of the importance to integrate and to understand, and because also they are owners of the cooperative when they start being members of cooperative. So our way of doing entrada, não é? Entering. It's not just entering, but our, the way the way of integrating people is to do a project with that person, and that allows us two things that I think are very with some kind of justice, because they do they work, they give their work, and with the work they give, the work, the time is also money. So the money is the money that they would give if they didn't give the work to enter. So they will be owners, also co-owners, and the starting project normally starts this way with is fair. I think it's very fair trade for both.
It's not money, it's work. You don't pay money, you
it's
pay with work.
You pay as voluntary work in the first project, and that's the way you start.
It's like entrance.
It's like ULUS. It's like. We will have now a 15-minute coffee break, and in the meantime you can think about more questions. I'll present. Values of equity, equality, solidarity, democratic governance are upheld. It doesn't prevent all problems, but of course it prevents a lot of problems that we see in regular association where some practices of informal power take place, and here with this audit, it really forces cooperatives to uphold these principles of democracy, of the principle of equitable distribution, and so on and so on. So I'm also speaking about it in reference to what you said, Dina, and why cooperative is, let's say, a more sophisticated way of organization, because it has within the, it has, first of all, it has a movement. It's not every organization for itself. And within this movement, there are certain principles that every cooperative has to uphold. And basically, privatization, internal privatization in cooperative is not possible. I mean, it's not possible, but it's much harder to do than in a regular association.
So now the idea is to continue the discussion. So,
do you have collective experiences that you want to share as association or as a cooperative?
Also, if you have, if you want to present some kind of situation you have, or you should. Or you want to, discuss?
Dina wants to ask more questions.
Yeah, but of course, if anyone else has other questions, because I already asked one, so please stop me and interfere. It's not an idea to privatize this space. So I think maybe this is a general situation that probably all of us have sometimes had this experience, and this is the question of participation, of engagement of members. I mean, there are different types and benefits of being a member somewhere, and is a cooperative organized around the membership which is actually active only when the member is contributing, or can somebody theoretically enter a cooperative and be a member indefinitely? What is the etiquette of this member onboarding process? And I love that you said that the first project is voluntary, but of course if people are organizing for economic activity, it's not an idea to we don't have this benefit in the Balkans to volunteer a lot, because we are already doing it for our other projects and our artist work. We do tons of administrative work that is never paid. It's really hard. We have this term administrative violence that is really prominent. So I'm really wondering, how to balance this. Benefit and options, privileges, and obligations of members. Because I've met different communities, I work with them. I always try to understand that not everybody has the time. Having time is a privilege. So how do we organize to make it easier for people to participate, and also to understand different realities of different people, to give them a bit of time and space to also make mistakes, errors, but also not to forget why are we connected in a cooperative, and this is to progress. Yeah, maybe I stop here. So thank you.
Yeah, no, you are putting the finger in the.
Yeah, in the eye. No, the thing is,
no, I just wanted to add that question we had when we presented the project, this big one project about Creative Europe, within our association to other members, because they asked if we, within the association, which is big and we have the assembly of 100 members, how would it be possible to motivate people within the cooperative to engage and participate in the assembly, because we have this experience with a lot of unsuccessful assemblies within the association, like with the same people actually, because we count on them to engage within the cooperative.
In our case, what I think it's very democratic way of dealing with the situation. Of course, the difference between cooperatives and a regular organization is the need for participation. You are part of it, so you can't be passive. You have to be active. The way we deal with it is like very hand loose. So if you participate more, you will have more, I don't say benefit, but benefit from the cooperative. If you participate less, you dilute. And then there are some administrative and issues that are not related with the work for itself. In our case, for the creative work for itself. So you can be just a member and appoint an atom of our network. And of course, if we have a problem, that's one of the things that is very good for us as a structure. Like if we can go from a very small project to a very big project, because we will expand our network or tornar mais pequenino, como é que é?
Make it smaller.
Shrink or limit the number of members. Of course, you will always have the benefit from being in the network, because let's imagine the practical situations. If I need an illustrator for a specific work, if it's within our network, we will talk, we will engage the illustrators or the specific illustrator who is more connected with us, or has the expression we need, or the interest in a specific project. So, yes, it's sometimes a problem. We have people in our structure that are just connected to us because they are in our radar, but they naturally fade away if they don't do nothing. You know, if you have a member 1 year or 2 years that don't do nothing, don't connect with us in any matter, well,
you just decide to.
It decided not deciding, you know, that it's fading away, and eventually he will leave the cooperative or not. It depends. For us, it's not a big deal if it stays or leaves.
But how is it regulated within the bylaws of your cooperative?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's just in bylaws where we regulate this. But this is the question to places connect with the principle of open door. So the cooperative's one point is to be open. But after there is a restriction on the definition of the bylaw of each cooperative. Because if we create hearts cooperatives to regulate the money we need to collect from the users of our intellectuality products, and we say is a Croatia cooperative, we need to be open to all Croatian people can apply to be member. But if we say is a hearts cooperative with an approach of a spatial approach, the members will be the ones that we accept to be members. And this needs to be written in. For instance, the farming cooperative, when we say is the farming cooperative of a country, so all people of the country can apply to be member. And it cannot be stopped to become member. But after, it needs by the statute to have some rules. And even in the farming cooperatives, as Mario says, the members needs to work with the cooperative. And sometimes, even in the rural cooperatives, some of the members, for instance, in the wines, after they sell outside the cooperative. And if the cooperative knows they are not being business in the cooperative because we make investments to have the product and to have a good quality, they can be asked to be outside, be put outside. But there is also some other questions, reports to the cooperative. The work that a cooperative makes with the members, for the members, usually in the legal law, for the taxing in Portugal, what we do with business with the members are free of tax. The results of cooperative is not taxed as the private sector, but it is in the business organized with the members. If we do business with the things from outside members, that will be paying taxing like another kind of entity. So the cooperative needs to be very aware when we design the statute, because after there is consequence on what we decide who can be in and who can be out. But most of the arts cooperatives we have start in the country are a small group that start a project, like we make in KICKVOIDLÖOP. So it's open, but you need to knock to become in, and we will see if, yes, we need you, you can be part. It's not open. So the cooperative is not open to all people apply to be member. And it's just, as you say, the statute of each cooperative that after approved by the members, it will be published and in a public legal terms, and that will establish after the framework of the business that we are going to do. But really, the principle of the cooperative is to be open for all the people that have the same agreement with the project and the statute of the cooperative.
Yes. For our experience, I have had some further experience before cooperatives with associations as well. But I think cooperatives in this term are more operative. You understand? Because imagine that you have a group which is the social members, right? Who, of course, these have to be people who are present at all times, because these are the people who are responsible for the decisions. We have members. Because you have to distinguish two types of participation. One thing is that people that are engaged in the project and they are participating in the project. Of course, everyone in KICKVOIDLÖOP, everyone who participates in projects is integrated as member, okay? But imagine that they don't have any more projects or they become associated with another institution and they drift apart, like Mari said. You know, they are registered as members, but of course they will not, we can decide that they do not have a legal vote in an assembly if they don't cooperate for over a year. They are not paying their voluntary work, right? So we can decide in the assembly that these people's votes will not be met. We never had that problem, because usually when people are not participating, they don't come into the assembly, so their vote doesn't count. You understand? So for us, it's not an issue, because when you start the meeting, the General Assembly, if not all the members are present, you can do the meeting nonetheless, and you can take decisions with whoever is present. You understand what I'm saying? So if people are not coming, who is present will take the decisions. And this is the most important aspect. Because, of course, those who are actively participating will. But then I have to give you another part to answer to Dina's first question about voluntary work. Okay, so voluntary work is how we organize in terms of fiscal law, okay? Which doesn't mean that the work is not paid. We have other ways to pay. Either it is to pay for a piece or to pay for a scholarship. Imagine that you understand that when you're doing a project, you're developing it as a research project. We can pay you as a scholarship. You understand what I'm saying? So we, as a system, work in a way where, like Mario said, the more you work for a project in terms of hours, so we do an accountability of hours of the work we do for the cooperative. And so the hours people invest are the hours that then they will be benefiting in terms of financial terms. Understand? So it can be various modes of paying. It can be a scholarship, it can be through travel, it can be...
And do you have any kind of list, like a set of things that you can give, you can pay for your members, or...
Of course, this is decided by the board of direction, okay? Who meets and decides and produces documents. Of course, all of this has to be publicly engaged in the cooperative, you know. It's a decision that produces documents that are public to the people who are participating in projects, and that, for instance, but it's like I told you, we've never had this problem because people who don't participate don't come.
But also, how many members of the cooperative?
Now we have
active 10.
10.
But we
it's
have
a very
more.
small cooperative.
In Argent we have 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really depends on what kind of cooperative.
Yes, you have to prepare.
Because, for instance, I was in Finland in a consumer cooperative that has 2.5 million people.
Yes.
In São Paulo, there is a consuming cooperative with 1 million members.
So you have to, like Martinho said, you have to, in the reglement, thinking about the size of the cooperative and what scope will it have, you have to prepare for this. Okay? Of course, the best way is to have consultancy. And the way that the strategy that we recommend, because we used it and I think it's good, is that you look for other cooperatives and you talk with a lot of people. So you have meetings, you have consultants that are experienced people who can engage with you in, in the trading. It's like I said before, you can offer a logo and they will offer consultancy, you know?
Well, we never offer a logo because we don't believe that the logo is an identity for a starting point. But one of the issues, the issues that at the beginning we had was at the very beginning we started with a project which was like a trade between us and a lawyer firm for them to start, well, do the paperwork for us. And our perspective was not to be our perspective was not to be an enterprise, and their perspective was always to be an enterprise, you know. And then we managed to agree in, okay, but we really want a cooperative. At the beginning, we didn't even have the cooperative in mind. And one of the things I remember they said to us that was bad to be a cooperative was because of the control of the institution. Like, you can imagine, you have a small cooperative, and especially at the beginning. And people that start making part of the cooperative can take control of the cooperative. Like, you don't own the cooperative, which is one of its main strengths, because it's democratic, right? Yeah, one member, one vote. We never dealt with the situation because people that don't participate in anything. Nobody wants to participate in things that are boring, you know. So, and you have to do lots of work and stuff that are not creative. In our case, it's important because it's our, you know, main will to have a cooperative and to organize work in this way. But nobody wants to do that kind of work, and actually people who don't participate simply don't give us any problem, you know. They simply stay quiet and eventually go out. Another thing about the way we transform participation into something you can have, like money or a scholarship or whatever.
Computer?
Yes, one of the things we have done recently is like members, for the members, we are starting giving computers to, or everything, or not everything, but what they need. We have like a wish list, and then we acquire the equipment with some priorities, and it's a way of investing in people. Of course, we have the equipment, but the equipment is for the person to use. The person to use. My equipment. At the beginning, it was not the case. At the beginning, computers and equipment was from each other. You know, it's your own material. Because look, it's very different. If you can't have, and that's one thing that's much different from a regular company, where normally you have the setup for the if you have someone from video, you will have to have the setup for the video. If you have the setup for photography, you will have to have the equipment for that, and so on. In this case, because we also work in the decentralized way, we invest in people. So we do it. Regarding just one last thing, because it's not easy sometimes to quantify what you are giving. Because, you know, you participated in the project. What kind of participation do you want in a project? And we have, well, I'm already talking a bit about my presentation this afternoon, but you know.
Never mind.
Imagine we are starting a project, and we can do it several ways. If people are very connected, people that will work in the project are very connected with us, with KICKVOIDLÖOP, well, normally we do time tracking with a logic of trust instead of the logic of control. So we trust. We have an application, and you can time track your time loosely. You know, we are not counting minutes. It's just to have an idea. And trust is one of the values we value. So if this is very important for us, because it's also a change in direction. So trust is important. It's like, I normally say, it's like the Uncle Ben, you know, Spider-Man. Of course, everybody knows Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. It's the same stuff for us. No, we give power, but people have to have responsibility. So it's for us it was a mechanism that we found out to measure better.
And to be democratic. Because, for instance, all the work has the same value. The administrative, boring work has the same value in terms of time, the time that you spend doing it. Of course, creative work, maybe it's longer, right? Because administrative work you do in that period of time the fastest you can, right? Maybe creative work you loosely want to do more time, or you want to research, or you want to go to an exhibition. This can be work as well. It can be part of the research that you are doing. So maybe creative work will be longer. But, you know, it's like a person a vote, a minute, it's a minute that you are working. So all the work is done. If you are cleaning, it doesn't matter. It has the same value. You understand?
But we have another way to work also. In the just to finish, because it's related. Because in some projects we have, because in this situation people that are very connected with the structure, so we can have this kind of modus operandi. Modus operandi is a great word because it's everything. Every language is the same. Which is like, especially for people that don't work often with us, we can agree on a price at the time, at the beginning, at the budget. Like, imagine, I don't do often, we don't need often photography, for instance. But if in one situation you need photography, we can agree with our photographer what would be the price. And you put the price on the budget. If the budget is accepted, then we proceed with the project and we pay the photographer for the work.
So it's hybrid. It's always hybrid. You can work either way. For instance, we have a worker, a cooperator who is not here, but he could be because he's part of the main structure, who is Jorge. And he was in an accident a couple of years ago and has had a lot of health issues. And sometimes, collectively, we have decided to help him with some health costs, because it's important for him and it's important for us. So we have decided to, collectively decided to pay some of his exams, for instance, because, you know, it's a structure that is collectively run by a group of people.
Solidarity.
Yeah. So it's a way to do decisions. Of course, this is not possible for every size of organization, right? But I think Martinho was saying that, also I believe it's true, that you have to predict and prepare the reglement for what kind of structure you want it to be. And then maybe if it grows more or grows less, then you have to adjust, right? But I think it's organic, and this is what we are liking, and we are we think it's the strength of the cooperative is that it is organic. It is an organic structure, and I think it's more organic than associations in that sense, you understand? Because it's more directed with the body of the people who are managing it. Okay? So if you, so it's it. So I think
just wanted to add a short addition, because you outlined very nicely how we think about the distribution of collective decision making about distribution of funds in the cooperative. But in larger cooperatives, there were already quite a few experimentation, and we also want to implement that in the future to work with some kind of tokens or local currency, because this kind of that also work on the basis of trust, but they have a, let's say, more structured way of that more people can participate, and you don't have to be in everyday communication to.
Of course.
Yeah, and also I wanted to relate to what Dina asked, and I think that in bigger organizations, it's really very important that the organization all the time. It depends also, like, for instance, this, what I mentioned, that consumer cooperative that in Finland that has 2.5 million members. You know, what you have to do in order to be a member of the cooperative is that just to buy a loyalty card for 100 euros, which is Finland is not much. So the investment of the member coming into the cooperative is very little, and therefore so is the participation. And of course, when they have a general assembly, it's a problem for them. They have to do huge campaigns only to bring in the people. But I think that it's very important that one of the principles of the cooperative movement is to educate its members, so all the time creating opportunities for participation for members. And this is, or members themselves creating for themselves opportunities for participation. And then, of course, when that actually functions, you don't have a problem that people already participate. Then there is no problem that they come to the assembly. It's only when there starts to be alienations of the members from the cooperative, then you go into a problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But I want to comment something a long time ago. It was actually related to Milan's question, how to motivate people from the association or, I don't know, artists to become part of the cooperative. And this is really like economic fiscal question. They can, because the main aim of the cooperative, as it said now, is to promote and to enhance the art market, to sell, find better ways to sell the art, promote, and the situation in Serbia actually is that the fiscal regulations are very unfavorable for the art market in general, so that the majority of selling art is passing on a gray or black market. Even that's why the reason why the gallery sector is not developing, because galleries are trying, for example, to promote artists and so on, and at the end we have this situation also in the association, because every American have part of the exhibition where there are arts for sale, or I mean, every exhibition is also for sale. And there is, like, people are interested to buy an artwork, but although association is taking very small percent in comparison for the members, like in comparison to the galleries that would take, I don't know, like from 30% on, like association is taking 10, 15%, I don't know, depends. And at the end, the sale is going on in a studio. So if there would be a way to make it, to allow to the artists to operate, to work legally and economically, that is, I don't know, like favorable, that the sale is more convenient to the cooperative, of course they would, or I don't know, sale, or like just employment in art sector, getting jobs, you know. It would be, from the economic fiscal, you know, like side, it would be interesting for artists to be able to work legally and get paid, you know. So this is also one topic. I don't know, like later, I think it's also completely another thing is the culture of the assembly, which is very important to be developed. Not, we had intents in the association to organize these meaningful assemblies, like not formal, but just to like have these open meetings for all the members, working groups to share, like exchange, do reports and discuss and plans and so on. But it didn't, unfortunately, lived out. So I don't know. I mean, this is the crucial thing, probably the culture.
To favor participation from artists, right?
Yeah, and also, I mean, it refers to all later.
I think Martinho can answer better than me some of the issues that you said. But I wanted to just say something. Of course, from my perspective, that if you want to have an impact, I mean national-wide, of course you do need financing to promote this cooperation in terms of communication. You have to invest in communication. Okay? Either through, I don't know what would be, because we have to do, of course, a recognition of where artists are, what are their ages, the people that you want to engage with, and draw a strategy from that. Okay? But I do think that the more structured you are, the better it is to engage people, whatever the objective is, because your objective can even be, okay, we want to rally artists nationwide, and we want to propose changes in the situation in legal terms. We want to have a national impact. And for this you need means. There's no way around it, okay? You have to have good consultancy in terms of its economical financing and organization. You have to have a good steering board that is able to take decisions and implement them. You have to have a well thought out structure to engage with people. But also then you have to have all the things like we said before. And that's why I think a cooperative is a good example, because you have to have a strategy of communication like a company does, right? You understand what I said? Claire?
I think in our case, to be part of a cooperative, you need common interests. Either it's cultural or economic or social. That's on the basis of a cooperative. So people, the way you relate with the members is first that common interests can be readings, can be you know, a reading list, can be you can have many strategies to do it, you know, like, but the thing is you have to do something that unites the members. And in our case, we don't need we do it digitally, you know. We have like a server where we talk about projects, and people is connected in each channel. It's like WhatsApp on steroids. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like WhatsApp, but better than WhatsApp, where you can have different channels. Mm-hmm. People which are connected with the project are in one channel, people that are connected with other projects are in another channel, and so on and so on. And also we have channels that are common to all members. You know, if it's administration, just for the administration, well, and if when we even are thinking of opening the server to outside community, like not just the members, but outside community. Mm-hmm. Then the content you put there needs to be meaningful to the members and not members. You know, we can do it also for people that are interested in us. I don't know how can we do it yet, but even for a potential partner, can make some kind of sense to connect with us in some way and have access to our perspective about things. So I think it's the basic principle of give and share, you know. You have to have some kind of cohesion between the things you believe, the way you communicate, and how people relate with us. Well, this is a perspective, broad perspective, but Martin, you maybe can say something more specific about economics, mm-hmm. Right?
So I think that one part of the answer you have for your own experience in participating in the Bienal Cerveira, that is organized by a foundation, but in the very beginning, it's in the north of Portugal, is that was not before arts town, and now becomes a arts town for cultural, outside of Porto, outside Lisbon. And this movement to start this Bienal event was developed by the members of our artist cooperative. Mm-hmm. Because to grow in a arts cooperative, you need to be organizing the members, but after look that the art value is to be part of the culture of the people. Mm-hmm. So you need to organize channels, networks, operations, to work with the local community, the local, the regional governments, with other entities. A lot of association, foundation, societies, they have space like this one in bibliotheques, and we can be ourselves to organize exhibition, to bring, to use their permits to have space to present our arts. Another thing is we need to be open to work with different, and to be in a arts cooperative, we need to be open-minded to be an incubator organization. That means that some artists needs to have a special cooperative to be able to create. So our cooperative needs to be able also to incubate others cooperatives, other projects. And one thing in arts is sometimes the group have a project not yet defined as a specialized body. They need to test. So we need to be open to integrate these projects and to work as an incubator, that they grow, and perhaps after they will be another entity and another organization. So I think that the problem to start or to develop artist cooperative movement in Serbia can be part of the collective experience of what exists already in Serbia. Mm-hmm. I have been one time invited to go because there was an assistance to us by the Swedish cooperative movement to assist after the revolution the cooperatives in farming, in housing. They have a lot of experience, so they come to Portugal, and we make them visit also our cultural cooperatives. And they have been so interested, they say, they invite me and some friends to go to speak about cultural cooperatives to Sweden. We go there and we make some visits, and they organize to us some visit to cultural cooperatives in Stockholm. When we have the meeting, I say them, you don't need our expertise. We have learned a lot about cultural cooperative in Sweden. You have a very good one. So you don't need outside expertise. You need to look to your cooperatives here you have in Stockholm. And I think to go ahead with the cultural cooperatives in Serbia, you need to look really what exists as associations, as experimental entities, and really we need to develop the cooperatives. We need to have in a country a networking operation. Sometimes, for instance, in Serbia, if we go to internet, you see there is an association of the farming cooperatives, and after there is the Cooperative Union Serbia. We have also in Portugal a lot of different entities, but we have created after the revolution a special cooperative that is Uninord. I am the president of this. Is a special cooperative to assist the cooperatives, the new ones, or when they are weak, they come to us, or when they are going to that, they come to us to recuperate what they had built and they don't want to lose. I think it's a question to have a special unity to assist the starting cooperative, or a cooperative that start themselves and wants really to improve this new wave of cooperatives, the cultural cooperatives, the social cooperatives. Someone speak with me about the problem for cooperatives for people with disease. This is also possible, but I think it's important to have people with commitment to say we are going to start one cooperative approach, but we need to be prepared to disasters, to things that doesn't go very well, to members that are today with us, tomorrow leave, and we need to resist and to find and to have to create a structure that can resist and stay working to open opportunities. And to do this, you are not alone. There is a lot of cooperative people engaged in all countries surrounding you and in, worldwide. But we will speak more about that tomorrow.
Can I just a short question? We have a long tradition of the Professional Artist Association. Our association is 105 years old, for example, and this is something typical for our I don't know, region, that there is this kind of professional associations. So I'm very interested to know if in Portugal there is like Professional Artist Association, and what is its relation to the art cooperative?
There is a very diversity associations of artists. Some organized already in cooperatives. For instance, architects, they have their own cooperative. Fine arts, we have special cooperatives. We have this big cooperative that controls the rights of the authors. It's one of the biggest. And after they had with problems, they create two. Now they are two working in Portugal and outside to defend the values of the Portuguese producers' ideas, even outside Portugal. And we can share. We have a lot of activities, events. For instance, we have a special cooperative that has been set up to organize Portuguese, Spanish speaking language, to make theater event with the Latino, the Iberic country spoken, that makes all America Latina. So it's a theater we organize one time per year in Portugal or in another country. And the organization to make this event is a special cooperative. It's FITEI.
Just to understand, so there is no like a art professional association of visual artists. It is actually a cooperative.
No, but there is associations, but there is also strong cooperatives. And there is a case where from associations we create cooperatives, and some other case from cooperatives we create associations also. The both approach
like
exists. Yeah.
One transforms.
Yeah. Or we create to have an open activity, because to be in a cooperative is more faced to a very specified area of activity, and some artists and other professional people can have other ways of associations to assist them and to promote. And we have different cases. It depends. I can after.
I'm just talking about, because this is a like national association of visual artists.
Oh.
So if not like any association, like a small or so on. So
No, we have
because
more.
this will be our case that we are creating from the association, National Association of Visual Artists, creating a cooperative.
Mhm.
So I was just interested if there is such a case in your country, and what might be the relation between the National Association of Visual Artists and this cooperative that is created from there.
Usually there is situations of cooperations because there are different strategy, and in all different professionals there is national associations. Mm-hmm. There is in certain cases some trade unions to protect, for instance, the artists that works for private companies or for states. They are organized with a special trade unions for artists. It exists, is an association specialized to assist the people that are working in local authorities and so that. And after there is this movement of cooperatives. And there is a strong cooperation. We try to establish agreements of cooperation because the cooperative will make things differently and can work in the market. The difference between, in Portugal, associations and cooperatives, even in Europe by the law, is associations is a passive entity in the economy. So it makes part of the economy, but with a passive action. Cooperatives, it's just an association to act in the business, but to act in business with like an association with no profit.
Can I
And this is the big difference, because cooperatives can, in Portugal law, cooperatives can make activities in all activities where is allowed to the private sector. So we can be working in banks, in insurance, in arts, in organized in all sectors.
We have to go to lunch, so
But just one thing. Because
She wants.
I
just wanted to answer
because
directly.
it was also like maybe I might be good some kind of hybrid, because the association, as it's not like market business actor, and association is like non-profit. It's like mission is to like. It's a professional, like to improve, like to do advocacy, lots of work that is not paid. So that there is some kind of like mutual interest, because cooperative could generate profit and support the advocacy, I don't know, campaigns for like, improving like everything related to advocating, I don't know, for the better legislation and so on.
No, I just wanted to answer you about this association that you said, because you were talking about ULUS, right? That's 125 years old. And in Portugal, we have a national fine arts society, which is from early 20th century. But it's not so much an important association nowadays. Because it was very linked to the academies, okay, in the early 20th century. And it started losing power of influence, especially because of the dictatorship. And of course, artists were organizing outside this society. And even if after the revolution they tried to renew it, the truth is it became obsolete. And nowadays they do have a collection, they do have a space where they do exhibitions, but I would say avant-gardism is not, artists are creating new structures and collectives and cooperatives, like Martinho said, okay, and the big national association lost in Portugal its importance many years ago. For instance, if you've been in the north in Cerveira, you know, because of course, why is it a foundation there? Because they inherited, so to speak, the collection of sculpture from their Rodrigues, and from his collection and house. Of course, the cooperative turned into a foundation, okay? Yeah. But the reality, I think, in Portugal is very fragmented. And for me, the way that I see it, the more active structures nowadays are the ones that are opposed to the system, either because they're away from the centers, the urban centers, or, you know, because they are acting in peripheral artistic areas and not understand what I'm saying.
But just that our association, I mean, this kind of
let's continue. Sorry, let's continue in different, because we are already 15 minutes late for the
as a union, you know, like it has a power syndical. But we will continue.
This issue of unions has been discussed, but it never advanced.
Let's continue it after lunch because we're 15 minutes.